Well, I've been coloring and making art since I was old enough to hold a crayon. And one of my earliest childhood memories is actually of waking up really early and just being so excited to go color. And my grandma, Sandra, is an artist. So I've always really been drawn to working in her studio, and I loved playing in there as a kid. My grandma on my dad's side, she's an extremely accomplished artist. I look up to her so much. She not only raised 6 kids, but she's been an artist her whole life and was actually recently inducted into the Florida Artists Hall of Fame, which is a huge honor given by the state of Florida. She was honored alongside a few people, including Bob Ross, happy little trees, who's actually from my hometown of Daytona Beach, Florida, and a lot of other extremely talented people. So she's amazing. She's my role model. And her daughter, Lisa, my Aunt Lisa, is also a really talented artist and retired art teacher. So there's definitely a long line of really artistic, creative women in my family. Both my parents are dentists, which requires a lot of its own sort of creativity. And my mom is very creative in her own way. Another interesting tidbit about my family is that my mother is from Barbados, which is a beautiful tropical island in the Caribbean. She was born and raised there, so that whole side of the family is from there. So my aunts, my uncles, cousins, etc. So I come from a strong line of really creative women on my mom's side as well. My grandmother, her mom, was a doctor. My great-grandmother, Iris, was a horticulturalist. So I've been going there my whole life since I was a kid, about once or twice a year. And I definitely feel like the tropical colors, the aqua blue of the sea, the bright fuchsia of the bougainvillea, the deep greens of the jungle, and just island vibes in general have definitely influenced the color palette and the style of my work, with the bright colors and really high contrast, incorporating a lot of really vibrant, kind of chaotic movement, brushstrokes in my work. I like making my paintings seem kind of windswept with a lot of movement and a lot of color. Because that's how I see Barbados in my mind's eye. It's this really intense mixture of flora, fauna, beach, surf, sand, sun, tinged with just a little bit of a layer of mystery, sadness, blended up into this just really interesting, vibrant culture, this whole colorful ecosystem. And I see that reflected in my artwork a lot. Atlanta is an amazing place for artists. So I moved to Atlanta in 2012 after I graduated college, Elon. And I realized that even though I was pursuing an acting career, I really did not want to move to New York City or LA like a lot of my friends were at the time. So I thought that Atlanta was a really good option since there was a burgeoning film scene, really cool theater scene, and also a lot of opportunities to get out into nature, which is really important to me. Having grown up in Daytona Beach, in a suburb of Daytona, I was really searching for more of a big city experience to spread my wings and exert my independence a little bit. And at the time, I wasn't really sure how long I'd be staying in Atlanta, but one of the things that really hooked me on Atlanta was the art scene. I didn't really realize it at first, but the longer I stayed, I've come to really appreciate Atlanta's support of public art. And it makes a lot of sense because Atlanta has such a rich, storied history, kind of a checkered past, And even in its early days, Atlanta has always been a real cultural melting pot and a place where many different walks of life have converged over the years. So yeah, the arts and culture scene that's developed throughout the decades up to today is really active, really interesting. Atlanta is definitely a place where people are free to express themselves. But I also love the fact that Atlanta is really woodsy. There's a lot of parks and trails and nature preserves kind of in and around the city. So you can drive like 2 hours in any direction and find a beautiful lake or a waterfall or a trail or something. And a lot of the different neighborhoods have so many different personalities. It's like a patchwork quilt of just different personalities and attitudes coming together, and you get a different vibe depending on what part of town you're in. So I live near Hapeville by the airport, and one piece I'm particularly proud of is my mural on the back patio of Beer Girl Growler Shop. I painted that mural in 2016, and it was based on a painting that I made in 2015 that was all about placemaking and how we as humans decorate and claim a space. And that was sort of the beginning of really leaning into the hand motifs that appear in my work a lot. I'm not sure why, but I find hand motifs really satisfying to paint, and a disembodied hand can represent a lot of different things depending on how you look at it. In addition to hands, often you'll see underwater sea creature motifs, mushrooms, weird organic shapes, this checkered pattern that I like to call my placemaking theme appear in my work as well. So go get a beer, go support an awesome woman-owned local business, Beer Girl Growler Shop, and check out my mural and let me know what you think of it. I may have a couple other little unofficial works of art around various abandoned buildings around town, Krog Tunnel sometimes, and that's the beauty of places like Krog Tunnel, this sort of guerrilla street art is it's ephemeral and designed to be temporary. So if you paint something, you just have to be prepared that it's going to get painted over. But that's the beauty of it, the temporary aspect of it. And there's so many talented artists in Atlanta. So there's always something new, something cool happening, cool art shows, performances, you name it. And it's ever evolving and inclusive too. There's room for everyone to express themselves. Do I do commissions? Yes, I absolutely do commissions. I love working on commissions for people and making custom artwork for folks. There's nothing I'd rather be doing than spending my time in a creative pursuit. So whether it's an acting job, painting something, doing a special event, singing, as long as it's creative, I'm happy. I think I use art making, like a lot of people, to process the world around me and to process what's going on within me. So art making is an incredibly basic, very basic human behavior, a really grounding and connecting practice that I think can generate a lot of empathy, which I think the world needs more of. So yes, I'm open for commissions, collaborations, art projects, murals, you name it. Let's talk. You know where to find me.